What's up, everybody? I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for tuning in. If you could do me a favor, like the video and share the video. It's going to be an important discussion, I feel anyway. I feel it's an important discussion. I feel like it's one that needs to be had, then had again, then had again, then had again. We need to talk about all the things that I'm about to talk about in this video. Some of which are the problems that are plaguing our communities. And when I say our communities, I'm not specifically talking about a black community, a white community, or a Mexican community. No, I'm talking about all communities in America. All right. All these topics that I'm about to bring are things that contribute to the degeneracy of our communities. All right. And I mean, it's really easy to see once you start like looking at it, once you start diving into these topics, it's easy to see, where the problems are, why we are where we are, why there's such a division, why there's so many homeless, why there's so many people committing crimes, why is there, all these things are self-evident once you start diving into these topics. So the first thing I want to talk about, right, is the church. The church. The church isn't what it used to be. Not all churches. I mean, the church is in, I guess what it used to mean when you had a church. You guys know before there was ever any welfare programs or anything like that, did you know that the church was the one that took care of the people? Like if you was hungry, you knew you could go to the church and you could get something to eat. If your children didn't have clothing, you could go to the church and there would be clothing there for your children. If you needed some help, the church was there. The church was more of a family, that cared about its community. And we've lost that in the rise of mega pastors and the rise of pulpit pimps like Al Sharpton. He's somebody that I'm going to discuss. And y'all might think, oh, Cash, you being hard when some of these topics, because I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to tell you exactly what I feel, what my lying eyes tell me when I see these people and when I see what's going on. So knowing what the church used to be and what the mandate is right here inside this Bible, the mandate of how we're supposed to be with people, how we're supposed to treat each other, how we're supposed to be inside of our societies and, with government and all of that. It tells you exactly how to be. And they don't follow none of that. They don't preach none of that. They don't do any of the things that they're supposed to do. Instead, they just make sure that you show up to church on Sunday, feel good, get the feel good message, and give your money to them. And then your pastor shows up next Sunday, new suit on, nice shoes, nice car, probably went on a vacation. He couldn't preach for the last 3 Sundays because he took his family on a trip to wherever, Barbados or wherever you go. But you still sitting at home praying to Jesus that you could pay your bill. How are you going to be able to tithe? And it's what they tell you. Well, just be faithful and you give that 10% and you're going to see an increase. God is going to give you an increase. That's what they tell you. But you never see that increase. You never see that increase. It doesn't happen. Your kids are still roaming the streets. You still got to worry about the gangs. You still got to worry about if you're going to have enough money to get food. And if you're on food stamps and the government shuts down and you ain't going to get those. It's just all these things, but the churches aren't available. Not the big ones. What happened to 24 hours? That church should be open. 24 hours a day, that church should be open. Somebody has an emergency, a woman, got to get away from her husband because he ain't doing right. Maybe putting his hands on her. She should have a place to flee. The church should be that. The pastor should be a counselor. The pastor should be a servant of the people, protecting the flock. And we don't see that. We don't see that. And then they befriend the world. And let me tell y'all something before I even get too deep into this, right? I'm not no role model, as a church member or a pastor. I'm not none of that. If you're looking to me to be any of those things, I'll tell you right now, I'm not qualified. I'm not, because I have flaws within myself that I'm still working on, but I could see what it's supposed to be for the people that do take on that mantle. that say I'm a pastor, I'm a bishop, I'm a deacon. I know what it says that you're supposed to be if you take on that role. And again, this is about accountability, holding people accountable. If we want to see a better society, well, then we need the people who are supposed to be leaders in our society to step up and actually be real leaders and do what they're supposed to do for the people. And this stretches all the way across the board. When you talk about these pastors, you know, like we'll use TD Jakes, my man TD Jakes, real friends with Diddy, real good friends with Diddy. That came out, hip hop. He's real good friends with a hip hop mogul, right? And this hip hop mogul is known for doing some horrible things all the way up until the day of his arrest. If we believe those things, right? I do. I believe him. I seen the video of Cassie. I'm just saying. And then here you sit, you got this person that's a known pastor around the world, and he's at a Diddy party. You're not leading him. He's leading you. You didn't lead him into the church. He led you into the freak-offs. How does it make sense? So the title of this video is, have our leaders failed us, right? Have they failed us? Have they failed us? Well, then the question is, have you failed yourself because you haven't studied your own word? Because maybe that's really what it is. Yeah, they have failed, but that's not necessarily you. They haven't failed us. They have failed God, and you have failed yourself by trusting in somebody who it says in here you're not supposed to be following in the first place. Before I get too off track, right? You got all these different people that are in positions of power in the church and political arenas, or for the younger community or the urban community, all across all demographics all shades of people. You have hip hop and music, the music industry. And when you look at the music industry and you see some of them are friends with your favorite pastor, you know, your favorite artist might attend your favorite pastor's church, you know, and it just looks like, oh, I'm with these people and it's okay to do what they do. And it's not. But I get how you could fall into that, especially if you don't read. But you look at the music industry. So we got homelessness that can't go to the church. You got drug addicts that can't go get no help or healing from the church. You got hungry people that can't go get no food from the church unless the soup kitchen is open on Saturday. And then you got the music industry that says, okay, you're in this pit right here, right? Go ahead and do some drugs. Do some drugs. And if you broke, you hurting and you ain't got no money, here, sell some drugs. Oh, your woman's out here acting a fool. Go ahead, get you a new one. Have a couple of them. These hoes ain't worth nothing. That's what it'll say. You know what I'm saying? I'm guilty. Been there, done did it, right? But it promotes this thing. If you're a young kid and you listening to music like how I was young listening to music, and it made me want to go out and do exactly what I heard in the music. Because it's like, yo, these dudes are soft. I'm feeling some type of way about whatever. And I'm going to go ride down on these dudes and I'm going to play my favorite song while I do it to put me in the mood. And you can apply that to whatever, you know, culture that you want to look at. You look at like the punk music back in the day, rise up against the authority and you know, rebel, anarchy, all of that. It all contributes to the problems of society. Well, then who puts the music out? Who puts the music out? It's like, well, the people write the music. I used to write music, so I know I wrote my own lyrics, but why did I write the lyrics that I was writing when I was still trying to do my thing, making music? Well, it's because I know that this is what's going to sell. You know, I used to be a part of a group called G's Infantry, and it was a gospel rap, right? And I'm like, ain't nobody going, like, it was good music. It was really good music, grade A quality music. But I'm like, this ain't going to sell. This is not going to get me out there. I'm not going to get rich off of this music. I'm not going to make it because it's too positive. It's about God. Who wants to hear about God, right? So I did my own thing. And I said, okay, I'm going to branch off and be more secular. And I did. Except I made sure that I didn't curse in my music, didn't degrade women, didn't put no message of violence or anything like that in my music. It was positive. But it was secular. It was secular in the sense of the style and the way that I'm, you know, the aggression, all of that. And it would never have made it. It would never have made it. It didn't make it. And Again, it's not because it wasn't great, because everybody that heard it was like, bro, this is hot. This is hot. But you ain't never gonna go nowhere with it, because you're not talking about the negativity. You're not talking about killing your brother. You're not talking about selling dope. You're not talking about sleeping with a whole bunch of different women. You're not talking about this man being below you. You're not promoting the things that need to be promoted in order for you to make it. And you're like, Cash, what are you even talking about, right? I found this. I wanted to play this for you guys. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is one of the greats right here. That, I mean, even though the style of music may not be everybody's cup of tea, the brother has a mind. Very, very sharp mind. Listen to this.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons.
Literally the same people?
Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. The records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
You hear what he just said? The people that own the music industries own the prisons. What? Well, why would they do that? Well, if they own the industry of music and then they have stake in the prison, what do you think the kind of content is that they're going to push? A life of crime. They're going to push a life of crime to get people to go to prison, push that school to prison pipeline. You know what I'm saying? And then what he says next, but they don't make you write those lyrics. That's true. But you know what kind of lyrics you got to write in order for you to get that type of lifestyle that you're trying to get.
They didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't. Some records are made by committee, meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're gonna have this guy write the lyrics. We're gonna have that. You have, the record company pushing the narrative. Some social engineering going on here to make sure those prisons stay full.
John Holmston, a retired CIA agent, has admitted on national Russian television that the CIA was behind the creation of the 1980s hip-hop scene and financed major hip-hop acts including NWA, Africa Boombata, and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. The government at the time spent, quote, big money, serious money, on this covert operation destined to further division and corrupt the American youth to nihilist, anti-establishment, and anti-American ideologies, he explained in a half-hour interview broadcast on national television. Famous hip-hop songs of the legendary hip-hop outfit NWA were even scripted by a team of psychologists and war propagandists of the CIA. F the police, and when I'm called off, I got a sawed off, squeeze the trigger, and bodies are hauled off, and other nihilist and anti-establishment lyrics were intended to unleash a wave of cynicism towards authorities, promote the use of heavy drugs, and entice the youth with revolutionary counter-establishment ideas.
Controlled opposition. That's what that is. Controlled opposition. And not that them brothers even knew that they were being controlled is the thing. Because you just take some dudes out of the ghetto that want a better life. All they seen is the life that they've seen. So it's easy for them to want to write down their feelings of anger that they have towards the systems that they feel are oppressing them. But then you have somebody with power come and say, okay, we're going to take this and make everybody that may not necessarily have that same life experience that they have, and we're going to push that into their mind to where even though they never had a bad encounter with the police, they're going to be singing F the police. To even though they've never had a drug problem in their community, we're going to tell them about pushing drugs in the community. About even though they've never seen nobody drinking no 40, we're going to push them. They're going to tell people to go and grab them a 40 because that's the thing that NWA does. They condition the mind. They didn't have no real heroes, right? The ones that they did have was killed. So it's easy for you to adopt the ideology because you see what's going on. They done killed Dr. King. They done killed Malcolm X. They done locked up Larry Hoover. They done took out all these different leaders. They done killed Huey. The Black Panthers, they shut them down even though they started the WIC program. So it's easy for you to just identify with that hatred towards a system. But now you have the people that are the system, that created the system, putting people out in front of you to hate them, knowing that you're not going to do anything to them. The only thing you're going to do is go out and get high, sell drugs, go to prison, and kill your brother. They promote a degenerate society. And you never end up rising up and doing any of the things that it says in the music against them. You end up doing it against yourself and the person next to you. That's what's going on here. That's what's happening. Even up until today, it's still happening. Except now they use the racism. You know what I'm saying? Hate people because of their color. Be proud to be black, or be proud to be white, or be ashamed to be white, or be ashamed to be black. And you end up just hurting each other. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing. And you think about it. You go back in the day and you think about when gangs first started. Do your history on gangs. Why did gangs first start in the communities in the first place? Well, people had an idea. They said, at this time, we're being oppressed and attacked by police, which is a fact. This was happening. The police officers in the community, not a specific color, take that out of the equation. Not white cops, not black cops, all cops. Well, most cops at that time, whether they were black, white, didn't matter. You might have got treated worse by a black cop than you did a white cop, depending on the community you come from. And what they did in the movie Boys in the Hood, pushing that image. Black cop hates black people worse than the white cop. Another thing that they put into the minds of the people, but it was a reality. So now it's, okay, you can't even trust black cops. All cops are bad because look at what the black cop in Boys in the Hood did. Even though that may not be the truth, it's an image. And then people adopt it. So now if you have the idea, you come from a ghetto and you're like, I want to be a cop to help my community. I want to do good in my community. Doesn't matter. Now the people think that there's a negative stigma behind you becoming a police officer to potentially help your community and curb some of that aggression. Doesn't matter. We hate you now. You're a pig. We hate you now because you a Sambo, you a Uncle Tom, you whatever they call you. Even though you had the idea to do good. And then you actually might have been that person that wanted to be a cop that's seen that movie. And you got picked on in high school or whatever the case is. And now you're like, you know what? I'm going to be like that cop. Look at the power he had over them gangsters. Pulled them over, made them cry. They used to make me cry in high school. So now I'm going to, you see what I'm saying? It's just, it's a psychological warfare that's happening and affecting each mind differently. All these are scenarios that could have happened. Maybe they never happened, but the possibility is there. Right? But people don't pay attention to it. And don't see what's going on. But back to why gangs started. Gangs started to help protect the community. And they seen this. They seen when the gang started. And look at what they did. They took the leaders and locked them away. Locked them away for life, even though they didn't even have, a violent crime history. They just had violence against police officers that was harassing the people in the community. They were protecting the people in their own community. So what they do? They plant people inside the gangs. They planted people inside the Black Panthers. They planted people inside the GDs. They planted people inside the Black Stones. They planted people inside the Vice Lords. They planted people inside the Land Kings. They planted people inside of every single gang. Bloods, Crips, all of that. To cause the chaos. So now gangs ain't nowhere. You can't even recognize the gang from what it was when it first started. Now it's completely different. It's no longer about protecting the community. It's about protecting your pride. That's it. Protecting your pride. These brothers, and now it's even far gone worse than that. It's just about a cool fad now. Now you join a gang, it ain't got nothing to do with anything except get this money because we're going to sell this dope and we're going to be the top. We just going to be the top niggas. That's it. It's all different. Everything is just different. Let's keep listening.
The retired CIA agent claims the social engineering maneuver was extremely successful. Quote, We understood at the time that music was a powerful means of propaganda to reach the youth, explained the 77-year-old man. Our mission was to use teenage angst to our advantage and turn Generation X into a decadent, pro-drug, and anti-establishment culture that would create uprisings and further division within society. We even infiltrated mainstream radio to promote their music and reach millions of people every day, he admitted, visibly proud of the accomplishment. For many of us in the CIA, infiltrating the 1980s hip-hop scene was one of the CIA's most successful experiments of propaganda to date, he acknowledged during the interview. The retired CIA agent, who was granted a Russian residence permit in 2011, also claimed Lyre Cohen, commonly known as the tall Israeli who runs hip-hop, is a CIA asset. When it comes to engineering culture, no one touches Lyre Cohen, Homestead admitted. He ended up promoting rappers such as Jay-Z and Kanye West, and more recently brought Migos and Young Thug to prominence. Some experts openly admit hip-hop nihilism, which was expressed in the use of harder, more self-destructive drugs like heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine, pushed United States President Richard Nixon into the war on drugs, a campaign of prohibition of drugs and foreign military intervention, with the stated aim being to define and reduce the illegal drug trade within America and around the world. Quote, "The chaos we caused in America helped the government justify overseas wars of plunder to Middle America. The country wouldn't be where it is today without hip-hop."
So, as you guys seen all the people holding up the same signs, and it's not hard to see if you follow the hip-hop trends, or you even follow the country trends, or you follow the whatever trends, the symbolism is always the same. Always. You'll always find the symbolism in all the videos. It lets you know what team they're on. Even the person that you think, the favorite artist that you have that you think isn't, they're not with them. They're not like that. Let me tell you something. And this is my opinion. This is my opinion from all the things that I look at. Every single person that is wealthy or always in your face on TV, the biggest star, right? The NBA, NFL, the music industry, Hollywood, all of it. Your news anchors, everything, the biggest pastors, all of them are a part of the same tree. That's why they throw the same signs. That's why you're allowed to listen to them. That's why they're promoted to you. Not allowed to listen to them. That's why they are promoted to you. That's why they're all over the TV. That's why they're all over the airwaves. That's why they're all over the magazines. That's why they're all over your phone. They are promoted to condition you. So you say, well, who is they? Who are the people that are in charge of doing this? Look, that's a question to be determined, right? That's the $1 million question. But let me tell you, it's not a race. It's not anything other than evil. That's it. I know it's simple, right? It's an oversimplification maybe in some of your minds, but it's all it really is. There's only two. There's good, and then there's evil. The people that run this world are evil. Okay? Whether or not they know it. Maybe some of them are just like, I'm just trying to survive. I'm just trying to make it because I came from poverty. And that's true. Some of them did. Some of the people that you follow did come from a beginning just like yours. It's true. Some of these pastors did come from a broken state. That's true. But they allowed themselves to be corrupted for money. It's very specific, when you look into the Bible where it says that you can't serve two masters. Either you're going to love one or you're going to hate the other. You can't serve God and mammon. Mammon is money. You can't serve God and money. And these people that are all up in your face all the time, all over everything, famous, they serve money. They serve money. They don't serve God. No matter what they say, they could profess it. They love God. They believe God. What did Jesus say? Even the demons believe that there's a God, and they fear and tremble at his name. That don't mean nothing just because you profess to believe in God. It means nothing at all just because you're a pastor of a church. Jesus said, well, many will come in that day. Many will come to me in that day and say, didn't I? Didn't I do this in your name? Look, I casted devils out in your name, God. And he's going to say, away from me, you evildoer. I never knew you. I never knew you. He ain't talking to people that are serving the devil on purpose. He's talking to people that think they're serving God. That is a verse that is literally for the people that think they are serving God. That verse right there. Look at these politicians. Look at them. America, when it started, they weren't paying taxes. And if they were, it was like 1%. 1%. Right? And you look at us today. You don't own anything. You own nothing. You own literally nothing. No, I paid for my car. I paid for my car, cash money. No, the government can take your car. Oh, no. I paid for my mansion. I paid for my acre lot. You know, you don't own that. The government can come and take it. They can come and take any. Don't pay your taxes and you'll lose everything you got. Everything. Which is ironic because before 1913, that wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. So then that leads me into the discussion about these politicians. These politicians get paid a lot of money. A lot of money. They're kind of like the modern day overseers on a plantation, if you really think about it. And I say that because they get all the benefits and privileges that you don't. And you're the one paying them. You're paying them to make the laws. You're paying them to make your life harder. And it's not your fault. You can't help it. You got to render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. I feel you. We're in the same boat here. We're Americans, you know? But you think about how much money they make even after they say they served 60 years in Congress, right? Which a lot of them do. A lot of them are like ready to be out the door, you know? But they get paid. You serve for 20 years, you still get paid. You're getting paid. And while they're in Congress, while they sit inside of there, they make a lot of money. And they will never miss a payment on their property tax. They will never have their property taken away from them as long as they keep serving the people. They get to live a very good life. These politicians get to live a very good life at your expense. So why don't they serve you the way that they're supposed to? Why do they promote things that are not beneficial to you? You had Ilhan Omar talking about defund the police because of a bad cop. And then they did. And then you had people crying for the police to be there in Minnesota. Why would she promote that? Why do they promote illegal immigration? Huh? And then you got some of these Republicans that promote harsh laws of incarceration that can lead to an incarceration. You have extremes on both sides of it. Then you got some that are moderate, but still go along with the program, knowingly or unknowingly. And I feel that if people would just open their eyes just a little bit more, you know, we all got to do our part. All of us, we all got to do our part, whether that be holding the church accountable, rappers, actors, politicians, whatever, your neighbor. Do that. Open your eyes to what's going on around you just a little bit more. And then we can start to fix some of society's problems. You know why? Because then we start to fix ourselves. One of my favorite verses from Tupac, right? And again, it's not that you can't learn anything from the people that make the music or the actors that make the really good quotes, like Keanu Reeves got some good ones. or the politicians that do got a good heart that want to try to help the people, but you can't. You're a part of a system that's not going to allow you to ever, unless you just do away with certain things, the system's going to be the system forever. But when the verse that I'm talking about is Pac, and when you think about it, he say, we got to change the way we eat, we got to change the way we live, and we got to change the way we treat each other. You see, the old way wasn't working, so it's on us to do what we got to do to survive. Still, I see no changes. And you think about that just that part right there. All the things that we talking about today, you got to change the way you eat. They putting stuff in the foods. You got to change the way we live as far as all the things that we do as a person. And we got to change the way that we treat each other. And that used to be applicable to the gang-ridden community, right? And now it's applicable throughout our whole nation, because look at the way people treat each other based off of politics. Change the way we treat each other, because the old way wasn't working. So it's on us to do what we got to do to survive. I don't think it could get no realer than that. Start paying attention to the things that they put in front of you. We have to make this place great for each other. It's on us. See, when you start understanding that we all need each other, we all need each other. Change the way you treat people, you know? This whole immigration thing that's going on right now, I know it sucks for some people, and I get it. And I know I make my content, and I know some people probably get offended by my content when it comes to that specific issue. But I want you to know something. In a perfect world, if I had it my way, in a perfect world, and I could control everything, and everybody was good, if everybody had a mind just to do good, right? And you didn't have people that would commit a heinous crime like, the things that people do to children, or the violence that gets committed against somebody because they're angry, or thievery or robbery, whatever. If everybody was good, I would say no borders, right? I would love for it to be no borders, and love for everybody around the world to be able to come into every country, like just travel freely. That's the ideal world, right? I guess that's what we are striving for. That's what's going to be set up when God comes back. But God ain't back yet. God ain't back yet. I know my content offends you because I'm very pro-American, right? I know it offends a lot of people, but that's just not the reality right now. Right now, it's essential that we got to have some borders. We got to have the right people coming in. We got to keep the right people out. It's just the way it is right now. But who knows? Maybe if we do work on ourselves one day, we can get there. Maybe one day we could get to that point before God comes back, to where we could say, you know what? Society has gotten so good and people aren't doing the things that the evil in the world promotes to them to do. People aren't doing that. It'll be great to have that happen. And then everybody could travel, right? But right now, I feel like we just got to fix home. Let's make this country the example of that. As an American citizen in this country, let's do our part. Let each one of us start to get our own homes in order, to get our communities in order after we get our homes in order. And then after our communities, to get our state in order. And then after every state is in order, then our country is good. And we don't have no homeless people over here in our country. And we don't have no starving people over here in our country. We don't have war vets that have served their military honorably sleeping in the streets. Then maybe we could think about all the other stuff. But right now, we got work to do. That's all I got. That's my thought on all of this. To you leaders of our country, whether you are in a position of influence in the music industry or Hollywood, or you're a pastor that's got a big old mega church the size of a football field, or anything else, whatever you are, politician. I'm a redemption story in myself. So I know everybody is capable of turning their life around and just trying to do good. I'm not perfect. I mess up. I might mess up as soon as I get off of this live. We all mess up. A lot of you politicians, leaders in general, have messed up. Al Sharpton, I can't believe some of the things that you say, that you preach. You get behind a pulpit and you preach. But I believe in redemption, and it's never too late. It's never too late. The thief was dying next to Jesus on the cross. Had probably a bad life all the way up until that point. He's dying. And he made it. He made it to God. So anybody can turn around. But it requires you to start doing the right thing. So I challenge all of you leaders, if you happen to see this video, start doing the right thing. Not just for the people that you are supposed to represent or that you have influence over, but for God. Because one day you're going to stand before him. We all are. And you will be held accountable one way or the other. That's all I got. I hope you have a good day. Unite. Don't fight. Be a street light. It's only you can be the change you wish to see in the world. And when you get too stressed out, you got to remember to pray, America, because without God, everything falls apart. That's a fact. Peace.